Alright, welcome everybody to part 7 of mixing with Waves plugins, where we're doing an entire mix with nothing but Waves plugins, with a few minor exceptions, and then we're also doing the same song with nothing but stock Cubase plugins, as well as a mix with nothing but Slate digital plugins, and at the end we'll compare the three mixes. So this is the last video as far as the mixing. We're going to be taking a look at the lead vocals today. And next time we'll go ahead and do the comparison video. And in the comparison video, I'm going to go ahead and talk about some of the automation that I did and the limiting that I did on all three mixes to bring them up to commercial levels. So that being said, let's go ahead and mix the lead vocals and we'll talk about the processing at the end.
I seem to hear is the sound of your laughter. And if you believe that I don't think about you, you should know it's hard to be so far without you. And when you hold my hand, it doesn't matter how far I may be, you know I'm home. I was there like a start, always lives in your heart. So let's enjoy our time. I'ma lean on you, you lean on me, so good when we're together. But now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. Wherever I go, wherever I lay, but now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. I'm off again, going through this world, often traveling, and I done seen some things before I've learned my lesson. I know your time seem to leave, the only way I know to give you what you need. So please hold on tight, you're on my mind. For you I will provide. But now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. Wherever I go, wherever I lay, by now you should finally alone, with a peace of mind that I've been searching for, and all I seem to hear is the sound of your laughter. And if you believe that I don't think about you, you should know it's hard to be so far without you. And when you hold my hand, it doesn't matter how far I may be, you know I'm home. I was there like the start. Gift of the present always lives in your heart. So let's enjoy our time. I'ma lean on you, you lean on me, so good when we're together. Hey, but now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. Wherever I go, wherever I lay, but now you should know I won't lose my way. It's the sound of your laughter. And if you believe that I don't think about you, you should know it's hard to be so far without you. And when you hold my hand, it doesn't matter how far I may be, you know I'm home. I was there like the start. Gift of the present always lives in your heart. So let's enjoy our time. I'ma lean on you, you lean on me, so good when we're together. But now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. Wherever I go, wherever I lay, but now you should know I won't lose my way. Your love always saves me. Your love always saves me. Ooh, 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 oh, oh. Ooh, 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 oh, oh. Ooh, 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 oh, oh. We are. Ooh, 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 oh, oh. Ooh, ooh, oh, oh. Ooh, 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 oh, oh. We are.
Okay, so let's take a look at what's going on here. So to start off, I'm using the console emulation again, and on the actual lead vocal track, I used some more drive just to give it some more of that harmonic detail. It's just really, really nice sounding on the Neve console here. Then from there, I used a de-esser, and it's hitting pretty hard, but it's a very narrow frequency. Just, because I'm going to be adding some high frequencies later. So that kind of helps with that. I used the Saphira on its just default setting here. And the tape speed that I use is 15 inches per second because that gives it kind of a nice low-end bump as well as some high-end roll-off in a nice way. Different than an EQ would work. Then I go to the SSL channel here. So the reason I use the Neve console and the SSL channel is because I want it to sound like it was tracked through a Neve and then mixed on an SSL. So that's my thinking behind that. Whether or not it actually sounds like that, well, that's a different story. Okay, so as far as EQ here, I rolled off up to 145 with the high pass filter here. Then I did about 3.5 dB of 8K. That's a high shelf. I'm cutting out some 3.5K with a pretty wide Q actually, just because the 3K to 4K is kind of a little bit, I don't know, a little bit harsh in this vocal. To get rid of some of that boxiness, I cut out about 3 dB of 500, the narrow Q here. And then with the low shelf, I added some 220, about 3 dB of that. And then I'm using a 3-to-1 ratio for the compression, and I'm just very lightly hitting this. The slower attack, fastest release, and generally it's getting about a dB of compression here, at the most about 3. So speaking of compression, let's go to the channel. I'm using the 1176 blue stripe on the main lead vocal. I'm getting about 2 to 3 dB of compression here. On the loud parts, maybe about 7 dB. And generally, I use the fastest release and the slowest attack, but it was just a little too aggressive for me like that, so I just dialed it back like 1 click. I mean, it seems like a really subtle move, but the change is actually really, really drastic. So going to the little ad-lib vocal parts, I used similar settings, but I used the black 1176 because it's a little bit smoother and less aggressive in my opinion. And I kind of like the black one on backing vocals and little ad-lib parts, and then the blue stripe on the lead vocal parts. So a faster attack to make it sit back, and once again I dialed back the release to make it not as aggressive there. And I'd say at the most I'm getting about 5 dB of compression here. And it really did help those ad-lib parts just sit back while the lead vocal came forward. So that's as far as processing with EQ and compression. That's it. As far as reverb, I used the same reverb from the backing vocals. So if you want, you can pause and look at these settings, or you can go to the backing vocals video and check out what I did there. I'll show you the EQ move. This is what I do with pretty much every effect that I ever use. Then as far as the delay, I'm using a PCM 42 emulation, and just a little bit of feedback using the high cut here and a quarter note delay. It's really simple, but this is a really great sounding digital delay that kind of has somewhat of an analog vibe to it though. And once again, rolling off the low end and high end, and then just adjusting the fader to where it sits nice. And this just really gives it a nice sense of depth. You don't hear that delay all the time, just once in a while, but it really gives the vocal some front-back depth, where the verb is kind of giving it some width. It gives some depth too, but it's giving it some width in my opinion. So yeah, as far as the processing, I was just really thinking about space and imaging, and throughout the mix, I was thinking about this lead vocal the whole time, and tried to make space in the mid frequencies and the low end and stuff like that, because you really got to think about the whole picture when you're mixing. You don't think one thing at a time. You have to think about your end product, and you have to think about everything start to finish. So I hope you learned something new from this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you didn't, you can give it a thumbs down. That's okay. You're entitled to your opinion, as I always say. If you really like this video, please subscribe. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the final video of this series. Have a wonderful day.